Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
And today we're going to talk about the death of the chimney.
It sounds like a wake.
I'm afraid it is be awake with no smoke. No fire at all.
No fire without smoke. People used to say that if there was some kind of a story, there's no smoke without fire, or some saying. But we're talking about the reality here of a real fire, and then do away with that.
Yes.
Cover it up.
Yeah.
So in other words, as you in the winter time, you won't see a little bit of smoke wafting up into the sky, and the sort of people sitting around a turf fire as we had it ourselves in the old poems and all the rest of it. So what will be sitting around?
Do you know, and the thing about it is, I go into Bewley's.
Will you be sitting around a radiator?
I think they'll be sitting around something that's not a fire. See, the EU is so impractical, you could actually expect people to be sitting around a fridge.
Oh, that might be
I'm telling
hazard
you.
as well. For all we know, so you might have to, don't know, they might sort of have something to do about fridges casting off, what to call it, something to do with the ozone layer.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know what to know about it, because unless they're birds perhaps flying up sky high and the ozone. But anyway, it's the question of the fires we're talking about.
It is, yeah. So basically what the EU is saying, that they brought out...
The EU, yeah, go ahead.
They brought out regulations in 2014, and these have to be enforced by 2020. And if you notice, if you're driving along Dublin or anywhere around the country now, if you look at the rooftops of the new houses, you will see that there's no chimney.
Well, that's the most unhealthy sort of an environment to be living in. You're like cocooned in a closed-in cage. This is why unfortunate people have this asthma now, because they're living in insulated homes in which no air is getting in. At least if there was a fireplace and it wasn't lit, there might be a bit of air coming down the chimney. Now, the idea that a person can't set it afire, which is a very welcome sign when you come into a house and you see a fire. Oftentimes, if it's a family, you can sit around the fire. Oftentimes, years ago, people had their own seats at the fire, and the only time you got a chance to get into it was when the old one or the old fella hopped up the stairs, perhaps, to go to the toilet, or maybe out the back or wherever they went. He hopped into it for a bit because you were close to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
But when you heard them coming, you had to hop out of it because we had to be around. So these are the facilities around the tough fire. Look at the way they cooked years ago. They had stuff over the fire, boiling pots and all the rest in this country. So there's a long tradition of fires. And so the EU now has interfered with that again.
Well, yeah, look at what...
What else are they interfering with?
There's a long history of... It was called the smoke tax or the heart tax. So there was always kind of a tax going back years and years ago on the fires in people's homes. But I don't think it'll actually... I think it'll be cleaner for the environment, but I don't think it'll make the home more efficient, because you were just mentioned there about the air. People will open the windows.
That's if they can open windows, because a lot of places now, well, depending on the type of home it is, like to me, if they're sealed in, that might interfere with something if they open windows. Perhaps they let in carbon dioxide or whatever it is that they're worried about all the time. I think it's a tax, this climate business. You mentioned something about the tough fires, not something about the environment. And well, damn all to the environment. Well, fire's not going up sky high up to the stars, as far as I know. And these ones that's up in spaceships, when they're looking down, I don't think the first thing they notice about is fires. What they do notice is that at night time you can see that Europe and the US has electricity, and Africa has no lights, because there's damn all electricity in that country. And that's why, for example, with this old climate nonsense, they're not allowed to have coal, which is the cheapest form and the most environmentally friendly, no matter what these jokes say. And they could have electricity and save lives. A lot of lives millions of lives lost in that country because of the lack of electricity. They can't. There's a lot of things can't happen, and only for the Catholic nuns and priests and people providing healthcare in some of the places there, there would be a lot more deaths, and they're the ones provided, not this EU and secular crowd. All they want to do is introduce abortion and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think what they'll probably have to do as well, they'll have to rewrite the Christmas books for children, because how is Santa going to come down a chimney if there's no chimney there?
Correct, and how do you get in at all? Because there'll be like sealed places. As a matter of fact, somehow or other, they remind me of something even more macabre, and that is they remind me of coffins. The fact that you haven't got a fire. But the Lord, I mean, there's some little benefits in life, some little pleasures in life. And if you're a family person and husband and wife and people like that, there's nothing nicer than you coming in from school on a cold day, which we used to have to walk, and you'd be blue with the cold because schools were not places with central heating. And there was a tough fire when the teacher sat with his backside to it, and you were blue with the cold down in the classroom, and when you got home, there was nothing nicer than sitting at a nice warm fire, and putting your behind to it and getting a bit of heat into yourself.
I mean, the argument
and
that
the mother is saying, there's a bowl of soup there, will you go and have it or that, or whatever else you might say.
yeah.
So you've got some heat into you. Now, that is the way it is, and this question of the mollycoddling that's going on now, and the poor unfortunate children can't walk 5 yards without having to get free buses and parents calling for them in cars and all the rest of it, centrally heated homes. I mean, no wonder they have various issues of health.
That's it. But I do remember this. Do you remember the ban on smokeless coal, which, as far as I know, the ban on they introduced some kind of coal that was smokeless.
They did, smokeless. Harney, when she was Minister for Health, I presume, and she was Minister for ages, and didn't seem to do much for the overcrowding that we have now, and wants on trolleys, and if somebody kind of wanted to do something and the doors open, they would push the trolley of them outside the hospital. So what I'm saying is that the fact that the smokeless smog, I think they were talking about.
I remember the smog in the 80s, because it got so bad in Dublin City, right, that you could not see a person 2 feet in front of you.
And that was no harm, probably, because you might want to see them either. But
look,
too easy.
And if you got, this is how bad it was, and this is why they introduced the ban on this smoky coal, right, in Dublin. If you were walking down the street, you could not see somebody 2 feet in front of you, and if you were to put a tissue to your mouth and breathe in, and then look at the tissue, you'd see all the black.
Oh, so that's why she brought in the smokeless fuel, and then it was they weren't in the fog then the whole time, or rather at some times, because that helped the situation, didn't it? In other words, that there was a bit of pollution there.
There was, actually, it was very bad.
So that can understand, but the smokeless got rid of that. Now in the country you don't have, you can burn ordinary stuff, because I burn ordinary coal, because there's none of this pollution. Like in the city, between cars and the various things in the city also contributes to pollution. As a matter of fact, when I worked for a few years when I was in my 20s in London, I worked there for about 4 years, the air, there was fogs there at times, but the air in the general course of events, even when there wasn't, cut the eyes out of my head. The air didn't agree with John Malone, and neither did the bloody water, because it's recycled. I've done many times. You'd be afraid of your life in case you'd be poisoned drinking it.
Yeah.
That's why they're all yellow-faced over there, because of this bloody water. So you have to be very careful with water. And as a matter of fact, people now in some places not drinking the water that they paid for coming from the river or wherever, the reservoir, because it's contaminated.
That's right, yeah.
And this is courtesy of the EU when they brought in this drainage business. So there is this contamination. So people is buying bottled water, big bottled water.
It's a big business.
Yeah.
I remember, like, when I was growing up as a kid, the idea, I remember seeing people buying water for the first time in restaurants in Dublin, and I thought to myself, I thought that'll never take off. That's just a fad. But
Correct.
water's probably more. There's probably more water bought now than Coca-Cola, I'd say.
There is.
Yeah.
There is, and people are drinking that more than anything because the Coca-Cola, some of those have got such a bad press by way of sugar and this, that and the other that they were popular and still are probably, but at the end of the day it's the water. You see people drinking water, I see them on buses, they see them a bottle of water with them all the time, like they can't be thirsty, it must be for some other reason that they're drinking it.
But it's good.
Yeah, exactly. So I know when we were in Spain for the time there, myself and my late wife, we bought bottled water all the time. Often bought several, the big ones, and put them in the car and brought them home because it saved you then having to get them on a regular basis because that's all you used. You used the other water maybe for washing yourself, but you couldn't drink it. Well, I suppose if you were that thirsty, you'd have to drink it.
You have no choice.
But boil it, it probably would be safer. But no, we used to boil the bottled water, and that's why it's popular, and that's why because of the EU again with their laws and what they were asking farmers to do, and now because there's a move afoot for to try and ban. Man, I'll be coming on to that later on. We're talking about fires. We stick to the fires. No, I think this EU is interfering again. Do you see the big full influence that they are? And so they have to pass the law here then, making it illegal and bring in rules and regulations because they want to stop people having fires. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it's ridiculous. It's a form of bullying.
It is. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you very much, Oliver.